Yeah, I have to refresh the page.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Let's Talk Live. I got Shadow Fox with me this evening. How you doing, Shadow Fox?
What's going on? How you doing, Jay?
All right, y'all can tell by the title, me and him about to go to war. So
yes, war game of the year 2017.
Okay, so 2017 Nintendo Switch releases Breath of the Wild, greatest game of all time. Not and this comes from a Zelda head. Not
yeah.
Drops with the release, much to the dismay of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Clearly the better game of the two.
Yeah,
clearly.
much to the dismay of it, because they were that, man. I feel so bad for them, but in December, this little gem dropped.
Yep.
So now, this whole time is a joke. We ain't about to go to war with no game of the year 2017. But
no, I think it's more of a joke, more so towards Jeff Keighley and everybody else that tends to ignore these games when because both of this game and Xenoblade Chronicles X launched in December and they were actively ignored. And they're like, not only did they not put them even in their category for game of the year for the years that they released, the following year they didn't count either. So I'm like, it makes no sense to me.
It got so bad to the point where I was just like, dude, that's why I got, if you notice this year, I was laughing when Halo got nominated. I'm like, dude, I'm not mad that it got nominated. I'm mad because what are the requirements? Because there have been other games that have dropped in December,
and they didn't say nothing.
They didn't say nothing. They wasn't up for nothing. They was like, no, they got to go to the next year. Matter of fact, that's what they said about Xenoblade. It has to go to the next year. And I'm like, why?
So they can ignore it the next year. Yeah. That's
why. so that's why I said something back during the Game Awards. But for this, now this game has its issues. All games have their issues. This game has their issues because when it first released, there was a mad syncing problem with especially if you used the English voice, the dub voice.
Oh yeah,
there was mad sync issues. Yeah. Now it kind of got better because they kind of patched it a little bit, but it really ain't. That much better. The other thing too is, and this is my big complaint about the game, and that is this system here.
Oh, he's gonna do it. Don't do it.
Yes, I'm gonna do it because I gotta show people. Now, look, this is why to me this game will not get game of the year to me. I don't know how many cores I've went through, but I can promise you there was one day I went through 20 legendary cores, 10 rare cores, did not get one unique core. And hold on, let me go out and show y'all what I mean by unique. Manage my blades. See, these are unique blades. These are unique blades. All right. You see all that? They unique. You see them? They look like people. As a matter of fact, some of y'all mad because of their art, because their art style. I don't care.
Women designed them, so whatever.
Yes, who cares? These are miscellaneous cores. They're not unique. They always come. I should not be getting any of these out of a legendary or a rare core. I should not.
Can I explain that for you though? So some of those, if you use legendaries and it's a random chance for those too, those little crowns that are beneath there that show your rarity, there are some common blades that have 4 crowns. Every unique is 5, right?
Yep.
But there are some of those that have 4 crowns and they're super strong. There are some common blades that are stronger than some of the uniques. And you use a lot of those to basically break the game if you want to, because you can stack a lot of these abilities stack, and a lot of these stats are passive in the background too, if you have these blades equipped. So if you wanted to stack like dark, the highest or whatever, you get 3 dark common blades, and that will help you better than any of the uniques. If you wanted to stack that much, if you wanted to overpower yourself in the game that way. So that's one of the weird things about it. But yes, the level 5 or the unique blades or what have you, they are it's literally a roll of the dice with regards to some of the harder ones to find, because I think it's 0.128%, I think, for the rarest character, depending on what save you start the game with. It's just that system is the weirdest system ever, and it's just kind of gross. But if you game it and you, I guess you said you used 20. I went through 99 rares and about 60 legendaries before I finally got Cosmos. But I had to literally stack everything and have 999 luck and continue to roll them. And then I eventually, it took like maybe a day off and on to pull it. But that's a lot of brute force. But it can be done. So it's just.
I want to point y'all to you see this miscellaneous right here I got? That came from a legendary. You see them crowns at the bottom? That came from a legendary. I just want you to know that.
That's about as standard as you can get. That's a really bad roll.
That's a very bad roll. And the only reason why I know this is because I kept her because she had something I had to use for a cycle. Yeah, industry master. That's the only reason why I kept her, because there was a couple of Merc quests that I have to do, and that's the only reason why she's still around. Other than that, I would have been got rid of her. But that's why I have an issue with this game. I hate gotcha mechanics in game. I hate them. I hate them with a passion. I would tell monoliths off to their face, don't ever do this again.
You don't want an RNG to win, dude?
No. No. And the other thing that actually irks me too is when I have look, most people that played the Xeno series or even watched the anime, yes, there was an anime. Ginyan had it, and I don't know if Funimation ever bought that when they bought Ginyan's library when they went defunct. But anybody who watched the anime know who Cosmos is. Why in the world is these two a side quest, but Cosmos ain't?
Yeah.
I don't care about either one of them.
Yeah, Cosmos should have basically a full-fledged story. The way that they treated her in that game, and if she's that rare, there should be a big bonus for getting her, other than completely breaking the game, because she's ultra powerful and completely broken. But I mean, other than that, it should be more than just a couple of nondescript comments that she gives, the same way that she gives them in Xenosaga. But that's not worthwhile for you to go through all that if you have that bad roll. So that's the other thing.
I have the bad roll. So
some people are lucky. So there's different blades that become extremely rare depending on your save. It's I think what's the girl with the fire? Nim? Is it Nim? I think Nim becomes
Nim
one.
Is Earth. Nim is Earth.
So Nim would be extremely rare if Cosmos is not.
Yeah.
So
because that's the one I got first. Is Nim?
Yeah.
Nim was the first one I got.
I think it was Super Bros. Super Bros got her like
immediately
right up. Super Bros and
OJ didn't OJ get a relatively quick?
No, OJ he rolled it on the stream. He just stacked the luck the same way I did, and he got it live on stream, and he didn't think he was going to get it either. It just popped up, and he was like, "Holy!" And he did his little dance and everything, because it's a moment.
Doing all that. Yeah, I ain't doing all that. Look, no. But see, this is a silhouette. I got 6 more to get. I gotta get.
Wow.
The last unique I got was him, Echoes.
Okay. It was Grimpachi. He got the lucky roll where he got Cosmos first.
Yeah, because I got
I punched the wall when he said that.
I got Sister, I got Mikhail, I got Ouroboros.
That's Harold.
No, I got Harold.
You got Harold. So who?
This is Echoes is one at the first beginning of the game.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Cosmos, Zenobia.
Yeah, that's Zenobia.
And I forgot who that is.
That is, what is that girl's
Them
name?
The last 6 I gotta get.
I forgot her name. But I have the full book, but
but see, that's the thing. I like, look, the game is amazing, don't get me wrong, but my issue with it is that because I think that system doesn't work. Gotcha systems don't work. I don't know how they got popular. I really don't because they suck. I don't know what to say.
old Japanese casinos, I guess. Maybe that's still their thing, and that's what works in Japan over there. So
I
they
guess.
thought it would be okay for kids and young adults to get into, maybe.
Now I will give them this, that that's better than microtransactions to me, because at least I ain't paying for it.
Definitely,
I ain't paying
definitely.
for it. It's just annoying.
Yeah, and all their DLC was free. There was no the only DLC you had to pay for was Torna, and that was a whole new game.
Yeah, that was
So
an expansion. So,
yeah,
and that's the other reason why I really wanted Shadow to come on for the talk tonight, because we both played Torna, and I'm sitting up here thinking that they are working on Xeno 3, and I think they was working on Xeno 3 when they were doing Torna. I honestly think Torna was a test run.
yeah, Torna was them basically perfecting this engine, and because the graphics are definitely improved in Torna.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're perfecting that, and possibly that might be. I think Torna is going to be a subset of all the gameplay systems that will be in the next Xenoblade game. So
And
I would not be surprised if the combat is very similar going forward from Torna and not Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
yeah, because Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the it's fun, but like fighting, it's because I'm gonna initiate a fight right now, just like to show you guys. The problem that I have with hey, are you gonna fight it or not? There you go. So, the problem I have is, like, it's not very, you know, it's not very streamlined as much as it was in Torna. In
Yeah,
Torna, it's way easier to,
Torna's perfected.
yeah, Torna's just way easier.
I think the thing with Torna was that since it was a quote unquote smaller game, they would focus more on perfecting the combat system. So if you're only playing for 40 or 50 hours or whatever, you'll get more replayability out of it, like playing, the ultra bosses in that game. Because there's one level 99 enemy in the game, and it's a fight. So it's basically it's a Telethia. So
Yeah,
you fight the baby Telethia or whatever, and that's a real long fight. And you'll even if you know how to master the game, like, all it takes is one mistake, and
and
you'll
you're
get
dead.
wiped out. Yeah.
Yeah, you're dead. Because in this game, it's the gladiator
Yep.
at the top of that thing. Because, like, I gotta go retool my entire. Because I tried to fight him again last night. I got better, but
Yep.
I've seen what some people do. I've seen this guy, because I had to go on YouTube just to get an idea of what. Because my whole core and pouch situations all jacked up. I was using all the
Hmm.
wrong stuff. But he did it with Tora by himself. He took the
Yeah.
other ones out and just did it with Tora. And I'm
Yep.
like, that actually makes sense. The way he did it makes sense, but I gotta play the game, the little Tora game, to get all the accessories for Power for Cutie Pie and Poppy QT. Because
So
I need that to stack them up good.
I beat him with Rex and Mithra Power or Rex and Elma. And the reason why you don't want a full party fighting him is because he spike damages everything.
Yeah.
So and you don't know when the spike is going to turn on. It's like kind of random. So if your party is trying to attack him, you got two other characters trying to attack him. You're steady trying to revive those guys. Because they'll end up getting insta killed based on one spike attack from them trying to hit him. And then if you're steady trying to worry about balancing yourself out with them, which is kind of similar to the same strategy you would use in Xenoblade Chronicles X. Why worry about spike damage and all the other kind of stuff? We could just focus on yourself and use stack abilities that continually build your health as you fight him and fight the spike damage. So that's kind of why that Tora build works. And so all I do is I just make sure I drop all my characters, and the current build I have for Rex right now is pretty much anti everything. The only thing I can't beat with him is the giant Tyranno on Bringer of Chaos by himself. So I change my party for him, but everything else I can run through the whole game in solo. Um, the other uniques. Pretty much all the tyrants in this game I could solo with Rex and Mithra or Rex and Elma,
No,
and definitely Elma because she has overdrive.
well, I gotta get Elma. Dude, I keep messing up on the last part of that fight. The
Oh
second
yeah,
part. I
yeah.
keep
The
when you
second
actually
the
get
second
her.
phase.
I can't do it. I got to rethink my approach on that. But I will say this: most of the uniques I don't have a problem with in this game, like the unique tyrants. I don't have a problem with it. I just have a problem with the gladiator, and there's 2 in Temperantia.
Yeah, the one in Temperantia, the Tyranno in Temperantia that's by himself. He has his own little.
I think that's the one because I beat the other one.
Yeah, if you go in there and fight him on his own, he's real good to farm legendary cores off of. And there's a bunch of unique weapon drops I think he does too as well. You obviously don't need those in game anymore, but for legendary cores definitely. You can farm a lot of them off of him doing full burst on them. So but yeah, this game is it is my game of the year for sure.
Yeah.
I like over the Breath of the Wild, because even though Breath of the Wild is it's obviously a timeless classic and there's so many different things you could learn about that game every day. And Xenoblade is kind of like, once you know it, you know it. But there's still cool things you could do after the fact. And then Torna is just an amazing experience. But I think that just from beginning to end, first of all, you have DLC that's way better than the DLC that you got for Breath of the Wild.
Oh yeah, dude. The what we got sucked.
Yeah.
What we got in Breath of the Wild sucked.
Basically, the entire scope as far as like story and playability from Torna to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a complete package. Like I would have paid $200 for that whole because that's 2 whole games that give you so much. Like you're talking about over 800 hours worth of gameplay or more.
Well, Shadow, if you want the physical version of Torna Gold Country, you can pay $200.
Yeah, literally is that much. Kind of sad. So
hey, Nintendo, like, look, we gave y'all a year to get this physical. Yeah. If y'all wanted it, y'all didn't want to take it. So hey, that ain't on us.
It would have been lovely to get a hold of. I don't know why I slipped on that because Best Buy was like trying to give it to me, and I'm like, dude, like $17, I should buy it on it, but I didn't want to at the time. I'm just like, I have all these other games, I have all these other things, and I just sit there and I'm just like, God, I gotta stop with all these purchases, and that was one that I regret. So
yeah, I gave mine to my niece. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that whole package to me, I think was definitely the better buy for that year. If I'm going to be quote unquote a reviewer, or somebody asks me, hey, the whole point of being a reviewer is to let somebody know, hey, is this purchase worth your while? Obviously, I'm not gonna not recommend Breath of the Wild, and obviously Breath of the Wild is clearly the popular. It ended up being the best launch title out of all the other games, for actually the best selling game that year for Nintendo Switch. Yeah. So I think Mario Odyssey caught up at some point, but then Breath of the Wild took away again, or ran off away again.
Well, the problem with Breath of the Wild is it's been 5 years. It's been 5 years, and people still finding stuff that I'm like, dang. And then I go find them like, yeah, they were right.
Yeah,
I hadn't done this yet.
Yeah, I still haven't come across a bear yet. So it's just those kind of things in that game.
Oh, I came across a bear. I rode him. It takes forever though.
I wanted to do that. I've done everything else in the game for the most part, except for that. And then apparently there's a giant spider at the top of that one tower in between. There's a tower where you have to climb all the way kind of like to the top of, and there's I can't think of the name where it is. It's not too far from a waterfall though. I'm trying to think where. There's a waterfall that's a little bit of ways from Hyrule Castle. I want to say it's a little bit west of Hyrule Castle, and there's a giant cave to the north of that. And at the end of the cave, there's like a old temple there, like it's like an old sand temple. And in there's a giant spider in there, apparently, if the conditions are right or whatever. And I haven't come across it yet. But
I've heard of that, but I hadn't come across it either. So I don't know if that was actually a true thing or not.
I'm there's so many things that I've seen, like people doing YouTube videos trying to find all the chests that were hidden by Nintendo that you're not supposed to find. So they fall through the floor and try to find them all. And it's just craziness, just so much craziness in that game. And people just want to break it every day. And every day they're successful. They find something.
Well, that was one. It wasn't even a break. It was just dude just found it.
Yeah,
Like,
just like, hey, I'm just gonna, hey, this thing, and Nintendo's like, that's not supposed to be there, but okay.
okay, like I thought we cleared that out on our second when we was polishing, but yeah, y'all found
Yeah.
it, yay. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, now this is Torna, the Golden Country. Once again, I prefer this one to Xeno 2 just because it's a tighter game. Now I will say this: if you play this, they do pull a fast one on you because you think, oh man, everything's gonna work out just fine. No, it ain't.
Mm,
No, it
no.
ain't.
No.
No, it ain't.
No.
But
Then you understand why some people behave the way they do in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It makes they did a
yeah,
really good prequel.
yeah, they did. I mean, it's one of those situations where you're looking at it like, man, I don't know why they was tripping in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, man. This look like it's not bad.
Yep.
Bruh, you get to the end of that game, like the last, what would you think? What is it, like the last 45 minutes of the game?
Yeah, pretty much that whole build up to get uh with Malos is just ridiculous. And then the end as well. After the end, the ruthlessness of you as an individual, you being Laura, I guess, in this game, towards the end of this game is just kind of ridiculous.
Oh,
Then a mouth that shows up at the end, and it's just these are things where this game didn't have to be this deep, and they didn't
yeah.
have to cover some of the things that they cover in this game, like a lot of betrayal uh, and there's a hidden hand here too, because even in this game, there's a guy who's referenced here that is also a shadowy figure behind the scenes in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, who's
Yep.
like giving information to some of the bad guys and influencing them. And I'm like, they really remembered to put. They closed all the loops. Like, there's nothing. I didn't see any. I didn't see anything that got retconned out in this game. Basically, they
No.
basically it was basically a seamless loop from this game to Xenoblade Chronicles 2,
Yeah.
and everything makes sense from the time that you in this game to the time that you start playing the prelude to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So I guess because of that, the impact of that, the story, and the way the game prepares you, it kind of handholds you, but doesn't handhold you um, as the game progresses, because it's like, hey, you go here. It says go here. You don't have to go here if you don't want to, and then you go off to the distance over here, and you can get surprised and get killed pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they kind of say, hey, we'll go hands off with you if you want to, but you will die. So um, I think that part about it is what's so attractive about this game. And even though the same is true of Breath of the Wild, because yeah, you can get lost, you can kind of get yourself into trouble there, and it doesn't really handhold you as much. This game is like, it's brutal at times. Like, it's just
It, especially on your first playthrough. On your first playthrough, you
you're
are going to
terrified of
die a
everything.
lot. You're going to die a lot. And if you walk into something at the wrong time, and when I mean like day night time, and you run into a tyrant,
Yep.
and there ain't no way out,
Yep.
yeah.
Or you could just be minding your own business, like, yeah, I'm a level 10, I'm over here doing this, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, a level 70 just walks up and says, I want to be in on this fight. And you're just like, oh, come on. And that's just it's just one of those wonderful surprises that you get in this game. So, but it's a rewarding experience. Basically, it both rewards and punishes you for exploring where you aren't supposed to explore, as long as you are aware of your surroundings and know, kind of how to like get around things that are blatantly stronger than you. Then you'll be okay. You'll be able to get around stuff like that. That's one thing I will say uh wasn't as intuitive in Breath of the Wild. You didn't really know until you got into a battle whether you were underpowered or not.
Yeah,
So
you did.
whereas
Well, unless it was the first part of the game. Unless it was the very
yeah,
first part of
in
the
the
game.
very beginning, you knew everything could probably kill you, but
Yeah.
like later on, you're pretty strong later on, and then you still come across some enemies, and if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to dispatch them, they will kill you pretty quickly in Breath of the Wild. Versus this game, you just look at the number, and then you look at your number, and you're like, well, that's way stronger, and the music sounds different. Oh my god, I should probably run.
Yeah, if you hear
Yeah,
piano, if you hear piano solo
it's
in
probably time to go.
Breath of the Wild, it's probably time to run.
Yeah.
That's
So
not a joke.
yeah, piano solo is your only warning. Whereas you can just look at a number here. So
Like
but
what you got? Like 5 seconds, I think it is, when that piano solo hit.
yeah, you probably need to leave.
Yeah.
But in this game, I guess the other thing too that I did not like about this game is what you just showed, fall damage, because that was one thing that was taken away in Xenoblade Chronicles X that I love so much, because it promoted exploring even more, because there were ways to navigate throughout environments, because you may have to drop further down off of a cliff to get to the higher side of a cliff if you want to work your way around somewhere without having to deal with something that's overly powerful.
Or my personal favorite, when one of your blades, the thing is you have to fall from various heights to
Yep.
complete that infinity chart.
Yep.
And we got splash damage. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, why would I do that?
So the only way to do it in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is to dive off of one point where a waterfall is, so you don't you don't actually die. Yeah, you have to keep doing it, just stack it so you don't die. But that's one of the weirdest things that I've seen in this game, and I'm like, why would you do that in a game where you have fall damage versus like having that in Xenoblade Chronicles X, for example, since it doesn't really damage you. It's just something that you're not tracking because fall damage isn't there. So you wouldn't think about, hey, well, if I fall from here so many times or whatever, it'll unlock this achievement. To be honest with you, I think that would probably be a better surprise if it was in that game versus, say, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. But yeah, neither here nor there. I think for anybody that likes any type of JRPGs, or maybe it's your first time wanting to play a JRPG, this is probably the best way to go. I would start here, even if you haven't played the original Xenoblade Chronicles. I would say start with Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yeah, because Xenoblade Chronicles, the good thing about the series is even though if you know the series, they're interconnected, but each one is a standalone.
Yes.
So notice I said standalone-ish.
Yeah, they are loosely connected in some way that still hasn't been fleshed out yet. Yeah. They are vaguely aware of each other's universes, but I will say from my experience, the original Xenoblade Chronicles is the JRPG player's game. Like, it's not gonna hold your hand, and it's gonna be rough if that's your first JRPG. I kind of think this game, or actually probably Torna, is probably the best way to get started if you haven't ever played a JRPG before. There probably might be a couple of better examples than that. I think some of the Tales games are pretty easy early on too, to where you can kind of learn the systems a little bit better. But as far as like I guess having the sense of accomplishment and stuff like that, which is what you want in a role-playing game anyway. You want to get better eventually over time. That I think this franchise accomplishes that very well. So I would highly recommend this game. Like I said, it's my game of the year 2017. Breath of the Wild, it's the weirdest thing, because if you ask me, hey, what's game of the generation? Clearly already, unless Sony and Microsoft do something strange, it's going to be Breath of the Wild. Clearly it's going to be game of the generation. If you ask me,
because it's doing what Ocarina of Time did back in '98. It's basically every other game that's in that adventure genre is going to be used.
Is going to copy that.
Yeah,
it's so influential. But meanwhile, this to me was the better game that came out that year, which is the strangest thing.
Can I say this? This actually has the better story.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild, the only way you're going to get the Breath of the Wild story, because I've heard people say there is no story to Breath of the Wild. Yeah, it is, but you've had to been following,
and you got to look
since you have to have been following since Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
And I'm talking about the console games. I'm not talking about all the handhelds and all this stuff. I'm talking about Ocarina of Time specifically, from Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker. You have to follow that.
Because it's told through the environment. They don't tell you. And then you just look, you're like, oh, wait, that happened. That was the thing that happened. Yeah. And you have to be able to connect it yourself. So, but it's there. It's told.
Yeah. Because, like, the only reason why you know it's in the timeline of Ocarina, Skyward, and Twilight is because Zelda literally says it in the first cutscene. But other than that, like, you have to go through that world and you find stuff. Your reading comprehension game has to be on point for Breath of the Wild. But this is a better told story in all honesty. Especially Torna, because Torna, you play Torna one of two ways. You can play it before you even touch Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yep.
Or you could play it after chapter 8. I think it's chapter 8. Chapter 8. Yeah. Chapter 8, when you go down to Mortha and you have to play with Jin. Spoilers for a 4-year-old game. But you can play it at that point because it fits either way. Either way it fits. Because a lot of stuff that happens, you like, oh, so that's why Jin like that. And that's when I started the hashtag Jin for Smash. But but yeah, it's like, dude, I get why Jin's messed up in the head now. I mean, you would be too when you figure out what happened. I'm like, I can't really blame him, and I can't really blame him for being mad at a Malthus, because the Malthus is what we in the black community like to call a jackass.
And he's being manipulated too, which is a whole nother thing.
Which now brings me to the question of Xenoblade Chronicles 3, because we know that's gonna happen.
Yep.
What do we do? Do we do a whole nother game, a whole nother different game like they've done with these other ones, or do we go with the guy that we know is an issue here from this series, from this game in 2?
I'm like, just say Dunban is Malos and be done with it, and then we just continue on to Xenoblade Chronicles X2, which turns into Xenoblade Chronicles 3 at the end, and you don't even know until. Yeah, that's kind of.
I don't think Dunban would be Mallow, so I just don't think that would work like that.
But I mean, he helps up Lao at the end of X, so I don't. Yeah, spoilers for what is that?
8-year-old game,
7-year-old game, yeah, 8-year-old game now at this point. But yeah, so that's clearly him standing over Lao at the end, and I'm like, you don't belong in this universe, bro. But that's definitely your shadow.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just so it's just one of those weird things, man. But the thing is, they still have another fantasy game that they're doing. It looks like Dragon Warrior, the little image they showed of that. Yeah. So I don't know, and maybe that's still tied in the universe too. There's no way of really knowing, and I don't know. I still do not know if Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is the thing that they're going to reveal first, because they announced that they're working on a brand new project for a reason several years ago. So it's got to be something they're ready to show.
But remember, they hired like 300 extra people.
True.
So, and I thought it was for when they did that initial hire, I thought it was for Zelda. No, it wasn't. Couldn't find out it wasn't. So I don't know what it's for, to be honest.
You think it's for both projects at once, in addition to helping Nintendo? Because I'm pretty sure they needed help for the open world for whatever the next Mario game is going to be as well. So
yeah, because like when they did that big hiring thing, I think what wound up happening was they were using for both Aonuma's team, whatever their team is, and for whatever, because I don't think like Mario Odyssey was open world ish.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go full open world on the next Mario game, I would imagine they would use the template they already got from Breath of the Wild, and because I don't think they're abandoning that template. The template's too good.
Yeah,
the template's just entirely too good. Hell, Sonic's finna use it.
Oh, everything's using that. Like, yeah, when Assassin's Creed rolls back how they do their game, and they're like, hey, wait, they did towers better than us. Yes, they did. And you're like, oh, well, we're gonna do that now, and we're gonna, okay, that's cool. And also, you can climb stuff now. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's just the most egregious copying. Like and I'm like, all Nintendo did was take what you guys have been bragging about in the sixth generation, Havoc, and have fun with it. They just played around and they're like, hey, we're gonna build an entire world around
Well, they
screwing with
mastered
Havoc.
it.
And they
They
mastered
mastered
it.
it. They just completely mastered it to the point where now can't nobody say anything about it. Like that's that's why I find it funny when I hear all these people say, "Oh, it's all about power. It's all about power." But power don't mean nothing if your development team ain't talented.
It isn't that the biggest Nintendo branding known to man, because that's their thing. They take existing technology and master it, and then they make it fun and share it to the masses. That's literally what they did with the original Game Boy, which is literally a calculator CPU.
Yep.
And they built basically superior on the go hardware because it was built like a tank, and you could do whatever you want with it. And
Literally
um,
a tank. Literally a
yes,
tank.
and in addition to all and working around the limitations too, they're just like, hey, well, there's only so much RAM we can fit in this thing, so let's come up with a subsystem that flips pages of memory around so you can make bigger games. Like just that kind of forethought, as far as stuff like that, is what they're known for. They're known for taking an old tire and turn it into a swing set. And not and that's the thing that other first parties never got right. They always were just like, hey, well, we have this franchise, so we're going to throw a new coat of paint on it, instead of realizing why that franchise took off in the first place. So I think only Bungie has kind of gotten that right. I mean, and they were one of the original teams that were just like, hey, let's play with Havoc as well. But they understood that our franchise isn't golden because uh people think Master Chief is cool. It was because the whole gameplay loop of jumping in and out of a truck and shooting people and jumping back into the truck was really fun. So once other developers get into that mindset, I think um, our industry would be a better place. We'll just have to get more of that mindset back, some of the original mindset back from the OGs, and I think Nintendo is teaching everybody a lesson right now with the popularity of the Switch. Hopefully going forward with all these acquisitions that happened recently, um, other developers, now that they have time and money, they can start focusing on this kind of thing instead of, insert buzzword here to sell a game.
Oh, you mean 8K and 198,000 frames a second?
Oh yeah, when you're over here, you're overkill for 2 minutes, 2 minutes of overkill on a level 33.
Yep. He must die in all kinds of hilarious and messed up ways.
Might as well. Might as well. Why not? That's the best way to just stack all the damage. It'd be great if you can get up to 299 damage.
I'm
That'd be
trying
great
to, dude. I'm trying. I'm so trying.
because you're only halfway through your bonus, so that burst is getting up there. Yeah, you're getting there. This is amazing. I say continue. Let it finish out.
Come on, get it.
Yeah, 639. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, she only did bonus damage.
Oh snap! They let me do it.
Let's go.
They let me do it.
This is amazing. So this is another fun thing about this game too. Like there's so many systems to exploit. So many systems to exploit. And this is what you do. So even if you quote unquote beating the game, there's still other things to do. And there's still passive damage happening to this dude in the background. It's getting bigger and bigger. Oh my god.
545, 757. Yes.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. So much damage.
I was trying to go for the full million, but yeah.
But yeah, that's the other thing too. Like when you're doing like several millions of damage on it, just kind of makes you feel good. That's an achievement in itself in this franchise. So I'm gonna prefer Xenoblade 2 for that reason. Obviously, yeah, you could do the same kind of damage as Xenoblade Chronicles X. But Xenoblade Chronicles X isn't a I still don't think it would have been Game of the Year for 2015, but it should have been at least a runner up.
Well, the thing about Xenoblade Chronicles X was, and I didn't get mad about it because that one, if I'm not mistaken, that one came out what like 2 weeks after the Game Awards,
Yep.
and I was like, okay, I can understand. But that next year it should have won because nothing will ever beat how they did that open world. I'm sorry,
Yep.
dude.
And they didn't even
Nothing.
nominate it.
That it never got nominated, but now you hear the same people that we go at and remind them of themselves. You know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're talking about, oh, we should get ported to the Switch. It won't work on the Switch.
Why do you want it ported to the Switch? It wasn't even nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah, and on top of that, the people that we talking about, they outright tried to pass it off like it wasn't that good of a game.
Exactly.
And I'm sitting there like there was because
I saw the early reviews.
Yeah, and the other thing because they was kept talking about how there was a barrier to entry because it was hard to master. I'm like, no, it wasn't. You just had to take time with it.
And the same person goes to brag about how hard and punishing the Dark Souls is, but that makes it great.
Yeah, same exact individual.
So, but it is what it is. So,
yeah.
But yeah, this is my Game of the Year for 2017. I'm not. I mean, me and Retro go back and forth about both of these games. It's great. But he's playing it now, so he's starting to see some of the greatness because he's Pro X. I'm Pro X as well. I like Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Look, I love Xenoblade Chronicles X because I have never seen anything to match Noctilum at Night. I'm sorry. Yeah, Noctilum at Night is the prettiest freaking area I've ever seen in any kind of open world anything. So nothing will ever beat that in my opinion. But as far as like a game that actually hits it on all points and I think gets it right, I have to give it to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The thing about Xenoblade Chronicles X though is that the game really doesn't get going until after you beat the story. That's when the game really gets going. And if there was a way to get it to work without the gamepad, I think you could probably port it then. But the problem is you can't port something that was so dependent on a feature of the system that it came out on. Like that game, there are a few games on the Wii U that needed the gamepad and they just don't work right without it. And there are a couple games that got ported. One of them is Wonderful 101, but from what I've talked to friends of mine that actually have the Wii U version and the Switch version, and they're like, it plays better on the Wii U. It just does, because that's the system it was designed for. So I think Xenoblade Chronicles X, in all honesty, is one of those games that it works best on that system because it was designed for that system. That gamepad is integral to that gaming experience. One of the things that I loved about the Wii U was the fact that I had a clean HUD and everything. I didn't have to worry about flipping to the map. The map was always on the screen. I don't understand how people got mad about that, but I've heard people get mad about that. I hate having to do this. I hate having to hit the plus button to go to another screen. When on the Wii U, all I had to do was just look down; it was already there. So that's one of those things. Look, I understand at the time it was cool to like do all the hate and all that. I understand that, but it's just funny to me that now you have a lot of people like, oh, you know, this game should come. Like it was on the Wii U. Why hasn't it been ported to the Switch? The top 10 list, you'll find that on like gaming websites. The top 10 games that still haven't been ported to the Switch. I'm like, half of these games can't be ported to the Switch because they don't have a gamepad. Like how do you explain that? Like
you can't explain that.
Yeah, like how are you gonna, and how can you as a game website, which I'm pretty sure if we check the receipts, you hated it from 2012 to 2016. You did nothing but write puff pieces about how it sucked, and you listen to anonymous software engineer from EA tell you how bad it is. And when somebody that actually puts a name to themselves, like Kamiya says, no, it's actually a easy system to work on, you don't believe them.
Yeah, that's part of that whole trials of the Wii U situation. I need to do a video on that. I was working on one, but I kind of got stuck in between pulling footage because for some reason, a lot of that stuff has gotten lost to time.
Yeah.
So I had to pull a video that somebody else recorded of G4 way back when, from IGN way back when. And this isn't that long ago. We're talking about 2011 and 2012. But for
Yeah.
some reason, those videos are gone. So I'm,
Well, we know why they're gone.
yeah, they kind of look pretty bad now. But
Because some IGNs are gone.
yep. But I did find one video. I found one video with Damon Hatfield of all people saying that he liked the Wii U. This was 1 year after it came out though. So 1 year after it came out, he was like, it actually using the gamepad isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because we know what all he was saying before the system launched.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's just, but I couldn't find any footage of any of that from before. So all of that seems to be kind of scrubbed.
I'm gonna give you a little secret. There was, I want to say back in 2018, me and you had a conversation with our good buddy Mr. Altano.
Oh yeah.
A lot of those vids after we had that conversation mysteriously disappeared off their YouTube channel and off the IGN site.
Yeah. Oh, and you can't. Another thing too. I went back to try to pull their podcast from Apple and other sources. They're all gone too.
Yeah, the one where they said they weren't fanboys is gone.
Yeah. Their podcast, all their podcasts from like 2015 and earlier are pretty much gone. There's a couple of guys that downloaded them or whatever, and they kind of shared them on a torrent or what have you. But I'm not trying to go to all those kind of links to find any of the video feeds for that kind of stuff. So,
because all I can, it's one of those things where I think that they're probably going to get away with saying, "Oh, well, we had to do that for server space and all that." Yeah, okay.
Yeah, on YouTube though, it's just on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm like, all of them are gone.
Why would you pull it down from YouTube? That's my thing. Yeah. Like that's free space. It's sitting there.
Usually when you pull something down from YouTube is because A, you got caught with your pants down, or B, you don't want nobody pulling the receipts on you.
Yep.
And we know that because like there are a lot of people. I've had people who, I remember when we were talking about Nintendo Switch Online, and there was all these people coming out here hating, and I made the point that I was like, hey, some of y'all that had all these videos talking about y'all hate the Nintendo Switch Online, it's been a year and I still see y'all on Smash every other Friday.
Facts. Also, some of y'all were the same people that said y'all were begging for Nintendo to do to make Virtual Console a subscription service on Wii U. Some of y'all said that was one of the reasons why Wii U failed. They should have just made Virtual Console a subscription service, and I'm just like, but they didn't do it for Wii. So, and people were still buying games on Wii U on Virtual Console. So. And you were buying some of them because you're bragging about playing them on the gamepad. So I don't know why all of a sudden it's a problem now to spend $20 a year to play those games. And you spent damn near anywhere between $8 to $10 a piece for them on Wii U. So it's just weird, just kind of strange logic there. I'm all about keeping that same energy. So if I say I don't like something for a certain reason, that applies regardless of who does it. Yeah. I don't like invisible walls. If I see an invisible wall in a Nintendo video game, I'm gonna bitch about it. If I see invisible walls in a Sony game, I'm gonna bitch about it. If I see them in a Microsoft game, I'm gonna bitch about it.
Especially if it's supposed to be an open world.
Exactly. Because we have come too far with all this quote unquote technology to maximize game worlds, and we're still dealing with stuff like this. There's zero reason, like the hill you just slid down, there's zero reason in certain games you go by that and you can't do that.
Yeah.
And there's an invisible barrier to keep you from. Why draw that if you can't put it there? If you can't go there? Like it's 2022.
Yep. Like it shouldn't even be like that. But for some reason, because I remember you saying it, and I'm like, I went and looked, I'm like, there is an invisible wall. This is supposed to be an open world game. I forgot what game it was. I'm like, it's supposed to be an open world game. What the hell?
Yep. And then because Horizon was the most recent, but I've documented a couple of, and I'm like, there's zero reason for this. You have all these quote unquote, as Mrs. T would say, titty flops. to make
Yep.
all these games go. And here we are over here, and you got invisible walls, man. And it didn't need to be there. That's just, I don't know if that's laziness or what have you, but there's just one of those situations where you got individuals that, you know, you're defending a system that is showcasing these broken games. So, and that's fine. I mean, because there's plenty of games that probably aren't broken that, you know, you can champion, but I just don't champion those games. You do that and then you ignore. Well, but look at the graphics, look at the detail, blah blah blah. But at what cost?
Yeah, like, and please stop bringing up graphics like it's a major gameplay mechanic. Graphics are not a gameplay mechanic.
Because the first thing they'll say about this game is, oh, well, the frame rate and look at the resolution. But you can go anywhere you want. But
the thing is, how does the game work as it's designed?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but this actually doesn't look bad to me. Does it look bad to you? It doesn't look bad to me.
Looks amazing.
I mean, it's a fantasy world. I'm not going for realism here.
The fact that the landmass that you're on right now is moving is that is amazing.
That is a giant wing. That is a giant wing. All right. And so, I'm not talking about the kind that you put KC Masterpiece on. This is a giant wing.
Those are some of the scope situations where I'm just like, why? You know, I saw stuff like that. And what the crazy thing about that is something that they did technically on Wii. And I'm like, why haven't I seen this on other platforms? Like, of course, now currently that's happening because this example has already been made. So there are a couple of other games where this already happens. A couple of the Sony games, and I think Mass Effect 2 or 3 eventually did it. But it's just like, why are we? You're talking about all these massive game worlds and stuff like that, and all this untapped, unharnessed power or what have you, and just to play the same 6th generation games with a new coat of paint. I just can't. Like, if you haven't updated your game engine, it doesn't matter how the graphics engine looks. It's still just a better looking old 6th generation game. So
for the most part,
I try to give credit where credit is due. You know, I really like the speed of how the Miles Morales game works. That game loads pretty fast, like, and it's pretty much seamless. So I can applaud that while at the same time complaining about looking down in an area in Horizon Zero Dawn and I can't go there. Like, why did you put that there? That's you know, on the same platform. I just, you know, it's just one of those things where how can that be a thing? And I don't know about Nintendo doing that in their games. Maybe there's a lot of third-party games on Nintendo systems that do that. But Nintendo themselves, I think they've shied away from the whole invisible walls thing. If they do have invisible walls, there's a reason why they are. Like, it'll be like if you fall off, you'll fall in and die in this area or whatever, instead of a situation where you just literally walk up here and it says you can't go there yet. What?
Yeah, if their game is supposed to be open world, it's not. That's not happening. Now, if it's not an open world game, it's supposed to be like a linear situation. You might still. I think you'll still see that. Yeah. But I think they try to limit it as much as humanly possible.
Like, so I'll accept it in like Gears because it's a corridor shooter.
It's supposed to be like that.
I'm willing to accept that because you're literally designed to use cover and stuff like that. So of course they're going to block stuff off. They're setting up areas for you to shoot stuff. Yeah. So that makes more sense to me.
Like Rainbow Six, you would do that because it's cover. You're not going to fun and gun that. If you fun and gun that, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So,
but if you set up a game, like, imagine a game like Halo, but you get in a Warthog and you drive somewhere and there's an invisible wall that you crash into. That would drive me absolutely insane. But there's some third-party games out there that do exactly that, and it's just frustrating. But you know,
It is what it is. So we about to hit an hour, and I promised Shadow that we were gonna be done within an hour. So that's gonna do it for this Let's Talk. Thank you for everybody who joined. See, we got a few viewers on. Uh like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. Follow if you're on the Twitch channel. I do appreciate that. We do appreciate it as well.
Yep.
The Winging It podcast is live tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be talking about why the Wii U is trending, as well as some other topics. Again, we're going to be talking about that tomorrow, so please come and join us. Shadow, anything you want to pimp out before we get out of here?
Nothing yet. There is a Shadowcast pending. If I don't do a video before then, I'll just talk about it Wednesday on the Shadowcast. So tune in then, I guess.
All right, cool. I do plan on doing some gameplays of some of the demos that dropped. We had a lot of demos drop last week, so I may do some gameplay of that tomorrow. Just have to wait and see. I ran into a issue using StreamYard. For some reason, when I do a live stream, the audio is conspicuously down real low. So I've been trying to figure out how I can rectify that, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. So I may just have to go back and just run it through Elgato for those couple of streams, and then just try. Once they get back to me, I'll try again. But that's why I didn't do the stream Friday night. So I do once again apologize for that. But I noticed that that when I live stream, the audio is low when I run it through StreamYard. So hopefully we'll find out what the issue is with that, and hopefully that get rectified. But till then, I'll probably just run it through Elgato again. So,
yep.
But I will share it out. So don't worry, you can find it on YouTube or whatever. I will have it where I'm going to set that out. And I do plan on putting up an actual schedule at some point. So I'm still working on that, people. I'm still working on it. So see you guys tomorrow night. Peace out.
Later, guys.